What's up, guys? Camp Flippership here. As you can see, I have here the LDY Kite aluminum. And, you know, I want to make this video real quick to talk a little bit about it. But it's not the only one that I'm going to be talking about in this video, because I'm also going to be talking about another ballast song that I really like. That's called the LDY Vega. So here's two ballast songs that are pretty good options that you have for yourself here. And I'm going to kind of talk a little about and see, what I would personally recommend to, all flippers, and kind of try to give my choice of the two. Because I will spoil that I am not keeping both of these. I'm only keeping one. And I'll probably tell you like midway through the video which one it is. But if you've seen some of my other videos, you can probably guess right now. But for those of you who haven't, let's keep it a fun little mystery. So, first things first, let's talk about the sound. Actually, let's talk about the price, because there was a whiny little bitch in my last video who was saying, oh, you didn't say the price. Oh my God, you didn't say the price. The whole video, I watched it for 30 minutes and I didn't see the price. So, for that guy, since your brain is literally so smooth, I will tell you the price right now, in case you guys have had your arms chopped off and you can't look it up yourself. This is probably around $70-ish for the Kite aluminum. And then the Vega is probably around $90-ish. And if that's wrong, feel free to say it in the comments in a rude way. Okay, so let's get right to it. Wind is so loud. So the Vega, we'll start with this. I think this ballast song is a great option. You can kind of hear the sounds of this. A lot of people prefer the sounds of the Kite because it has that nuttier kind of sound. But for me personally, I actually really prefer these kind of sounds, these muted G10 noises. I love the way that sounds personally. Oh shit. So yeah, I mean, and of course, it's all going to come down to preference with a lot of this stuff. So I'm just going to kind of talk about what I think, and you guys can kind of like formulate your own opinions. But if you don't want to buy both and you want to just hear what I have to say before you get it, because I'm sure you're going to watch all the other videos and stuff. So yeah, I like the sound of this one better. It's easier to flip like in places where there's other people around and stuff like that, because it's just like not like too like overbearing. I think in terms of the look, the style of it, I like the style a little bit better. I don't like that the handles feel long-ish sometimes, but it makes the fans look nice, and the rest of the looks of the Bally are good, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. But it is something worth noting that the handles are like sometimes a little bit long. I'm trying to do my ladders. Anyways. So yeah, so that's kind of like how I feel about that. In terms of flipping, so this thing flips really great. I'm not warmed up today. This is my first time kind of hopping on and flipping, aside from the take that I just did a second ago. And as you can fucking see, but so this thing is good. I feel like this is one of those ballast songs where you can really get in a nice little bit of flow. It does have some wonkiness to it, and I think it just has to do with the fact that it's light, and that lightness kind of like lends itself to feeling like you kind of like mess things up sometimes, and you kind of go into like a weird mode sometimes with it, because it just kind of like doesn't always do the things that you like want it to do, because you just overthrow it, or you kind of overdo it. But if you're used to lighter ballast songs, this is going to be really good for you, because it's pretty consistent for the most part as a lighter ballast song. And then also, it is neutral, which is good, because when you have a ballast song that's neutral and light, like it's really going to do what you want it to do. Like if you were able to give it that feel, right? Like, so typically like a handle bias ballast song will give you a little bit of assistance a lot of the time. But then this ballast song is the kind of one where it's going to kind of like do exactly what you say, right? So if you're wanting to have it do a motion, you got to really know that motion well, which is good for new flippers. And I would also say that like the neutral balance is good for new flippers, because they're going to be learning fans and stuff like that. Like if you're learning fans, this is a great ballast song to learn a fan on. Whereas if you have a more handle bias knife, like it's not going to be as easy to get into learning a fan or learning something like that, because it's just like, it's not it's not as intuitive, right? You have more influence from other places. Shit. You know, this one sticks really well on chaplains, I think. So all around, it's pretty good. It's got like a pretty consistent, nice feel. I would say that like on some aerials and stuff like that, I'm not the biggest fan of like how it takes off, but again, that has to do with like user input. So like if you're like really good and you have a really good feel for it, this battle song will deliver. But if you're not 100% all the time, then this battle song can let you down. So there's that. Also, the construction of it is G10, so the reason that you get those good sounds is because of the G10. But at the same time, it's also going to cause like the durability issues. Like, I don't know if you guys remember whenever like the G10 Orcas were first getting popular, like so many people would like drop them and they just fucking crack. And it's like, dude, like what did you expect? It's made of fucking G10. And it's going to be the same thing with this thing. Like it's made of G10, so it's not exactly going to be like this durable fucking thing that people think it's going to be. Not that people think it's going to be so durable, but also I have dropped it, you know, a decent amount of times. And I will say, like, I don't actually have too much of problems with it. Oh, I just poked myself. You know, when it gets dropped, it holds up well. So yeah, that's like generally the rundown of this thing. And let's go over to the Kite, which I could do a full review. I might or might not, depending on, you know, how this goes. And then also, you know, let me know in the comments if you want a dedicated review. But there's not really a need for it. So yeah, this one is going to be a lot different. This is a lot different of an experience. I think for me, my personal preferences on how I feel about it, I like the way it flips a little bit better. The way it looks is, you know, here nor there. I like the blade style. I like the way it sounds, and I like that it's nutty. But at the same time, like, there's better looking and feeling battle songs out there. So it really just depends on, you know, what you like and stuff, you know. But I would say I got to get used to the weight. So that's another thing too about the Kite, is like it's so light that like when you transfer out into a different battle song, not the Kite, the Vega. That's another thing about the Vega, is like when you transfer to another battle song, like you get that weird feel where you're like, oh my God, like this doesn't feel right. You're not like calibrated. So I'm just gonna do a couple of fans, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Nothing too crazy right now until I get my feel down, because I don't want to cut myself. But yeah. So yeah, obviously this one can still fan, and like that's another thing too about like handle bias battle songs. I've always thought it's like, I prefer a handle bias because it's gonna help carry momentum on things that like I want to do, especially like for big aerials and stuff like that, especially for like 0G chaplains. Like I can actually, like, that was just me not being locked in, but like I can actually like sync a 0G on this one, like super like look how long I can wait before I hop in on this one. See that? Because it's just so like, it'll take, you know what I'm saying? It'll take either way. Like I know it'll take whenever I'm doing it. So like I can just land them over and over again. And obviously I gotta like practice them a little bit with this battle song, because I've only had it for a couple of days, but I've been flipping it here and there. But yeah, it's nice in that way, because if you have a handle bias battle song, like the thing is like it like I was saying, it has that transfer over. But then like it's not going to be as good at fanning, right? But the thing about like my thought process is like fanning is always going to be easier than like doing like a fucking 0G chaplain, or like one of these type of like helix catch aerials. Ow. You know, one of these type of helix catch aerials, right? That's going to be not as bad as just learning to do a fan, right? So that's good. So I tend to be like, well, it probably would be better just to do, just to learn on a battle song that's more handle biased, right? Because it's like the harder things are going to be easier on a handle biased battle song, and the easier things are going to be harder, but it's fine because they're easy, right? That's my thought process. For that at least. And then me personally, like I just prefer it. I've always been a handle bias enjoyer. But at the same time, I mean, you know, it comes all down to like what you want to do. Watch this fucking shit, dude. Seen that? Shit. I fucking threw it into the fucking the whatever the fucking choker fan. I fucking helix in a choker fan, son. Sorry to detour, but that's what I fucking do. That's what you're fucking signing up for when you watch these reviews. And if you like that shit, please fucking unsubscribe. Anyways, sorry to get fucking derailed, but yeah. So and then the construction, like it's gonna be more solid, right? One problem people had was like that it was this part was like cutting them and shit. It is a little bit rough here and there. I know everyone's is going to be a little bit different, right? But me personally, I don't know if it's here or if it sticks out over here, but either way, like for me personally, like I'm not trying to be the guy that's like, you got soft hands, brother. But if they're all the same as this one, it's not that big of a fucking deal. But if they're, I guess maybe if you have sensitive hands, or maybe if there's ones that are like way worse than this one, I mean, I can feel the resistance, right? But you're not gonna fucking cut yourself on that. But I definitely see where people are coming from, and you know, you don't want to be uncomfortable when you're flipping something. The good thing is you can always take some sandpaper and just like toss it and just like use that to kind of like even it out, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's like a good option that you have. So that's like a better little thing that you can do to kind of like help yourself out. I know it's kind of like a nuisance, so it's like you're like, I'll just buy the Vega, which is fine if you like the Vega, but you'd be missing out, right? Because this thing is really good. And I think like that kind of gives you my notion of it is like, to kind of give it away early, is that I prefer the Kite aluminum over the Vega. Yeah, that's really how I feel. If you had to buy one, you'd have to buy this one, I think. The Vega is great, but it's kind of like gimmicky in a way. You know, it's like, oh, that's G10, but like if you really think about it, like a G10 balisong, like you should not be paying $100 for a G10 balisong. But anyways, aside from that, like even if it was like full construction and it felt the same exact way that it does, I would still say that like you don't need to necessarily do that, because I think this thing just flips better for my personal preferences. And you can take the screws out to reduce the handle bias, by the way. You know, this thing reminds me of like a Bowie Kraken, how my Bowie Kraken felt the first time I picked it up, where I'm like, wow, this just feels so free. But then it has better grip because of the G10. And you know, it just, to me, like you don't have to worry so much because it's not as expensive. You can kind of beat it a little bit, right? And it's got great tolerances, you know, so it's just like, it's a great all-in-one package. I think it beats the Vega out by a very small margin, but for like a flipper who enjoys a little bit of handle bias, this is like a great option. And I think, you know, to me, it just feels like the kind of balisong where you kind of can unlock a little bit more of like that kind of nice feeling, bally kind of like enjoyment kind of thing, where I think I might have nicked myself, but yeah, I know that's like a whole lot of fucking word salad gibberish, but you'd really have to feel one to kind of understand. Like, I'll put it this way, I knew right away, or I knew before I got this, that I was going to try to pick one, and I knew that like I was like going to keep one and then sell the other one. And I knew pretty much immediately when I picked this up and started flipping it, I was like, oh yeah, this is the one I'm going to keep. Now, would I get a Vega like in the future, right? Like if I wasn't selling it, and what am I doing? Would I get a Vega? Yeah, I think I would. I would get one again maybe one day, where if it's not like, if they have like a cool release, but as it stands now, like in its normal state, I'm not too convinced on it. I can't really flip for shit today. Oh, he said the name. But yeah, so that's kind of like where I stand on things. The video is getting a little bit long and cumbersome, so I'll just kind of like wrap it up and just kind of say that, like, yeah, I like the way this feels better. I think for the average flipper, it just depends on your goals, right? Like if you, like when you're new, a lighter balisong is going to be better. So that kind of goes for the Vega, right? And when you're new, a neutral balance would be nice, you know, because it kind of like is a canvas to where you can kind of practice. So if you're kind of serious about getting a little bit competitive with your flipping and stuff like that, then I would go, you know, the Vega also might be a good option. And if you have somewhere to flip that's not, you know, concrete or anything like that, the Vega held up a couple times that I've dropped it, so it's been decent, but it's not going to hold up forever, and you don't want to have it break and crack that fucking G10, because you will literally just be like out. And then if you're a modder, you know, the Vega might be something a little bit cooler to mess with, because it does have like a little bit of interesting ways where you can print that if you can. But then all other cases, right? Like if you're a new flipper and you just kind of want to see how things are going, and you know, that handle bias is going to be helpful. I think a lot of newer flippers prefer handle bias. And it's for a good reason, because it really does make things a little bit easier for you. And I think that this is no exception. Why do I keep trying to catch my scissors like that? It's funny because I like when I'm doing the drafts, I like try to catch them like a certain way where, I don't know why I even fucking threw that. I try to catch them like a certain way where like it just touches one finger and then rolls around the finger. But then like now I'm being trying to catch like my regular scissors like that, and it's just like there's nowhere for the momentum to go, because I usually stop it. Like here, like if I catch a regular scissor, I should catch it like this, right? Every time. But then if I'm doing like a giraffe, right, I catch it with just the one finger, and then if it's, you kind of saw it, right? You kind of saw how it landed here, and then it rolls and I catch it. But anyways, that's not, what the fuck am I talking about? This is not the video. I literally said I was gonna wrap it up. But anyways, yeah, so yeah, that's kind of every other use case. I think with this one would be better. It's a little bit nuttier. I think it'll hold up a little bit better. I think maybe people might like the look of this better and the sound of it. And it's cheaper, which is just, you know, amusing in some sense, because it's like it's literally like it's more shit, like it's better materials, I think. And yeah, so all in all, I think this is the better battle song to get. And there's use cases for the Vega, and it's an interesting new battle song, something worth checking out. But I think for the average person, and my personal recommendation is going to be to get the Kite if you can. And neither of them are ever fucking in stock, so you might as well just fucking give up completely anyway. So yeah, rock on.